Fukunoko Midoriya. Fukunoko, or just Fuku as she calls herself, is an 8-year-old girl with purple hair. She is the second most mysterious member of the family. The first being Mu, more on him later, and the third being Eri. She stays in her room pretty much constantly, only really coming out at night to sneak into the kitchen. I've only interacted with her in person once and it didn't go very well, so she avoids me. Even now that she's started coming out of her room more often, with a special hoodie on that covers her face, she still stays clear of me. Still looking for a way to make it up to her. But from what I've heard and seen, she's very, very easily frightened, and extremely paranoid, which is why I doesn't leave her room. And she also puts herself down, a lot. Although I heard she's been getting better and becoming less scared. Her quirk is called fear gas. Fukunoko can emit a gas from her skin that causes almost whoever breathes it to hallucinate their worst fears. It's bad enough to drive people insane. Although it fades away fast, the dangerous part is that this gas explodes from her whenever she panics, which is a lot. Again, she's been working on it with Dad, but it's still very scary. Note, her quirk doesn't work on the undead, in other words, me. Kai Midoriya. Kai is very interesting. He's 40 feet tall, with 3 massive heads, 2 wings, 2 legs, and no arms. His body is like a snake combined with a dragon, and is covered in massive green scales. Also his blood and poison. Don't know how strong it is, but Azuka just said it's very strong. Kai can talk, and see, and do everything we do with one head using all 3 of his, but he doesn't have 3 separate personalities, just the one. Since he also lacks hands, he has to use his heads to grab things, which can go badly sometimes. You'd think he'd cause a lot of damage to people or things around him, but actually Kiba is way worse than him. Kai is very gentle and kind, and always tries to be extremely careful, which is good because he's so big. It can be weird looking at how big he is, and knowing he's only 7 years old. It confuses me how a literally 40-foot Hydra with no hands can do less damage when he tries to pick something up than Kiba. Otoko Midoriya. Otoko is 7 years old, and his body looks like it's made of some kind of weird moss. It's not actually moss though. Don't really know what it is. It's like some flesh moss fusion thing. He's also tall. Like really tall. He's like twice Azuka's height. And he has this weird tentacle on his face, with big bug eyes. It makes him scarier, which goes into his quirk. Anything that feels fear burns at Otoko's touch. Or rather, if you feel a certain amount of fear and touch Otoko, you will suddenly catch fire. He wears a special cloak over his body so people don't touch him, although it can make him a bit scarier looking because it darkens his face. Otoko is pretty gentle and likes quiet. He most hangs out in the greenhouse, the library, and the art room, and occasionally the pool when there aren't too many people around. I can relate. Also notable, he can't set Sansan on fire, most likely because she is a liquid. Mu Midoriya. Okay, I've never actually seen Mu. He's like Fukunoko, he doesn't like to talk to people. But apparently he does like to be around people. Mu's quirk is complicated. Dad said it lets him slip into another state or reality where no one can see or touch him, but he can see other people, and he can go through objects. He's a ghost. He's basically a ghost. And he likes to go around while invisible, and just look at people, according to Dad. Oh, and an important thing, anything that goes into this other state of reality, will start to fall apart pretty quickly. And even Mu will eventually start to fall apart, but that takes a lot longer. Yonda Midoriya. Yonda is the ultimate privacy destroyer. And she embraces that. She's a 9-year-old girl with curly pink hair. Her quirk replaces her ability to hear and speak with sound, with the ability to hear people's thoughts and speak in their minds. And no, she can't turn it off. Apparently it still works a lot like regular hearing and speaking. It has the same range, and if you cover her ears and keep her mouth from moving she can't hear or talk. Which is weird because her quirk goes through walls. Maybe her ears and mouth are kinda like antennas or something. Because if you just cover her mouth she can still talk using her quirk, you have to actually stop her mouth from moving at all to silence her. Same with her ears, you can't just put your hands over them to stop them, you have plugged them up to make them unable to hear. In terms of personality she has 2 sides to her. One side is absolutely evil and uses her quirk to manipulate people. Kiba has fallen prey to this multiple times, and let's just say Yonda has never really had to lift anything heavy because of it. Although evil is an exaggeration, it's mostly just minor stuff. She doesn't do this often, but if she wants something or someone to do something, she will get them to do it. Although times when she does this are kinda rare. Most of the time she's pretty nice. Using her quirk to try and help people with their problems. Breaking up fights between Kiba and however Kiba pissed off that day. Kyosei Midoriya. Kyosei lives inside of me. Yes, you read that right. Kyosei is a living blob of black ooze that is about a year old. Kinda like Sansan, but stickier and black. His quirk allows him to go inside people and basically make it his home. This is called a bond, and it comes with upsides and downsides. The person he's inside, called the host. The upside is that it gives the host super strength, speed, durability, etc. It also lets them use Kyosei's body as armor or weapons. Note Ali, it lets you make tentacles that can stretch about 30 feet. The downside is that he makes you insane by enhancing your emotions, and eventually kills you by eating all your insides. So for most people it's not really worth it. Except for me, whose emotions are mostly dead, and whose insides constantly regenerate. So I get all the plus sides and none of the negatives. Well, except for Kyosei's weakness, fire and really loud sounds, I still have to watch out for that. Personality-wise he's a baby. Literally he's like a year old. All he really wants is to eat and for me to be active. Mind you, he can understand people, and he has intelligence, so one day he'll have more of a personality. Netsu Midoriya. Netsu is a 7-year-old boy, who is constantly on fire. His quirk allows him to emit fire and shoot it out like Endeavor, while also making him immune to fire. He's extremely powerful, and one day he will get more powerful than Endeavor ever could be. The downside is that while he is immune to fire, his lungs are not immune to smoke, or a lack of oxygen. Turns out fire is pretty bad for your breathing, so if he makes too much fire in a closed area, then he'll suffocate himself. Also, his quirk is incredibly hard to control. So it's almost impossible for him to go a day without setting something on fire, and it's pretty easy for him to lose control when he's attacking. He can also use his quirk to fly, although due to his difficulty controlling his quirk, he often crashes into things when he tries. Personality-wise, Netsu is a lot like an anime protagonist. Simple-minded, likes to fight and eat. Although apparently he has an interest in art, which I didn't see coming. Most powerful list update. 1. Sansan. Still really powerful and hard to hurt. 2. Yami. I really underestimated what Yami could do. The amount of negative energy he can get just by being in the city for a few hours is insane, and the types of grim he can create keep getting weirder and more powerful. He gets stronger every day. It's very possible he could be more powerful than Sansan, but I'm putting him lower because if you actually manage to get to him through all the grim, he can't really fight for himself. 3. Kai/Kiba/Netsu. It's hard to tell who is more powerful here. They all have advantages and disadvantages, but roughly speaking they're around the same power. 4. Me and Kyosei. Thanks to Kyosei I've gotten a lot stronger. Combined with my regeneration we're really hard to fight. Although my regeneration is still limited, and fire and loud sounds can mess us up. 5. Shiroku. She has a lot of the same powers I do now if you replace tentacles with webs, except I think she's still a bit stronger and faster than me. But I regenerate and she doesn't, so she goes one spot lower. 6K/Mu. It's really hard for me to place these two, because they don't have any real fighting ability, but their quirks can be an instant win in a lot of situations. If either of them catch you by surprise, they win basically unless your quirk counters there somehow. But Mu might have a hard time pulling people into his realm, and if you can get close to K without looking at her you can beat her pretty easily. 7. Fukunoko. Her gas dissipates really quickly and is really short range. But if you do breathe it in you are beyond screwed. 8. Eri. She can kill you with a touch. But she has to get close to you. She can also heal people, eventually. She still has to work on that. 9. Otoko. Same as Eri, but Eri's touch will instantly and definitely kill you no matter what. But Otoko first has to make you feel afraid of him, and even then if he touches you just get set on fire which will probably kill you be it might not. Also he can't heal people. 10. Yonda. Not really a combat quirk, but she could probably use it to see what an opponent's strategy is. Not much, but it's something. 11. Kyoku. Again, not really a combat quirk. Can't really use it too well in a fight. Tragic backstory list. 1. Eri. 2. Sansan. 3. K. 4. Fukunoko. 5. Me/Kiba/Yami. Tai. 6. Kyoku. 7. Dad. 8. Yonda. 9. Shiruka/Kai/Otoko. 10. Kaiosei. He did accidentally drive his mom crazy and kill her, but he really didn't understand what was happening, and still doesn't. He is a baby, so we'll have to see how that affects him in the future. 11. Mu. I don't know what his backstory is.